I'm here sitting with Howie Bentley of the bands BRITON RITES and Cauldron Born. Hey, Howie.
Hello there, Dennis. How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm freshly out of the shower to look, fitting to the part interviewing rock stars, you know.
There you go. Well, I'm fresh out of bed.
That's better. Fresh out of bed is always better than anything else. Yeah, that's making me envious. I'm awake since 13 hours.
It's about bedtime there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 7 in the evening, and it's about time to go sit in front of the TV and do things that don't have to do with work necessarily.
Unwind.
Just drink something and have breakfast and stuff like that. So I did a review on the last BRITON RITES record called Occult Fantastique. And because of you guys, I learned that Bram Stoker was inspired by the Camilla novel. I didn't know that at first.
Yeah, he was, and he. My understanding is the first draft of Dracula he set in stereo, where Carmilla was set as well, but then he changed it later.
Yeah, he changed it to Transylvania because I think he was Count Dracula. Of course, is not a tempting, beautiful female. It's more like the archetype of a cool rock and roller type of dude, tempting the girls, and maybe he thought it would be more fitting to take Transylvania because it's the sound of the name is already a bit more obscure and
exotic.
Yeah. So I had to read a bit about Camilla and all the stories, and I was quite fascinated by that and by the lyrics you wrote for BRITON RITES. It's I'm lucky to have my review at hand. I was surprised because I didn't know the band at first because you can't know them all, and I'm lucky to know you now. It was an 8 of 10.
We hadn't done anything. Yeah, that's great, and I really appreciate that. We hadn't done anything in 10 years, so it's easy to forget when somebody puts an album out every 10 years.
It's just I'm listening to Doom bands. I don't know, maybe 5-6 years now. No, it's longer. It's 7 years. 7 years. So that is one reason too. I think that I missed that, of course. And I started late. It was I think in 2014, writing and really getting into everything. Of course, I listened to metal before that, but Doom came later on. So that's my excuse.
I got you.
So I got a few questions at hand. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So this might be a boring question, but it is something I and of course the audience that is not aware of your existence might want to know. It's what did inspire you to become a musician?
Well, I started listening to heavy metal in 1981, I discovered Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz album, and I'd already played guitar a little bit. I had an interest in music. It was mostly hard rock. Over here in the United States, especially with me being from an isolated area in the coal fields, we got things kind of late. So I didn't hear all this metal stuff that was going on in the 70s. It was mostly hard rock like Kiss and Ted Nugent, AC/DC, and stuff like that. So I had kind of an interest. I originally wanted to play drums, but my dad was too smart for that. He didn't want to have to hear that. So he said, well, we already have a guitar. Learn to play that first. So I started, learn some chords and that kind of thing on the guitar, but never took it really that seriously. But I did like hard rock music, and I always wanted something heavier. I had a couple cousins introduced me to Kiss in the late 70s. I think I was 11 years old, and I bought Kiss Alive 2. I quickly outgrew that. It's like got tired of that really quick. Then when I moved on to Ted Nugent, because the riffs had a harder edge. And then I got into AC/DC and listened to that for a while, but I didn't discover metal, real metal, British metal, until 1981. I heard Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz album, and I was already interested in the guitar, and Randy Rhoads' guitar playing just blew me away. It was nothing like it, and I was like, I'm going to have to learn to play guitar now. And, of course, I got into Black Sabbath around the same time, too, because I knew Ozzy was in that band. So I started off with the Ozzy Osbourne solo stuff in Black Sabbath, and then from there it just kind of snowballed. I got into Judas Priest and Iron Maiden and Scorpions and all this stuff, and I just kept getting into heavier stuff.
So, like it's the premium drugs.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, Priest is. I think everyone in metal, to a certain extent, likes or loves Iron Maiden, but there's a difference between Iron Maiden and Judas Priest that is not so easily describable.
Yeah, it's sure.
It's a certain quality of it. Maiden is more cartoony, I think, and Maiden is a bit more metal.
More consistent. Iron Maiden is more consistent. Judas Priest would make a great album, and then they would make an album, and it wasn't maybe as good as the last album. And some of the stuff was a little more rock with Priest sometimes, and some of it was really heavy. I mean, it was definitely heavy metal. So they weren't as consistent as Iron Maiden. Another thing with Judas Priest is Iron Maiden pretty much stayed Iron Maiden. As Priest went along, they were influenced by bands they had influenced more so. And Iron Maiden pretty much stayed their own thing, even though some of the stuff when they got Blaze Bayley in the band, they really lost me there. They lost me before that. Power Slave was actually the last Iron Maiden album I really loved, and then I liked the two after that. But after those, I lost interest in Iron Maiden pretty much. But backing up here, I get sidetracked a lot. The stuff with Blaze Bayley was more rock, and it just kind of didn't resonate with me much at all.
Yeah, I get that. Yet there's still a few songs of the Blaze Bayley era which I really like Man on the Edge, because that's maybe a song I could do with my vocals. There's no chance on this planet to do Flight of Icarus. Oh, no chance in heaven and hell. Aside from the Camilla book and that author, what is your favorite book?
You mean novel or collection or just book in general?
Let's start with novel.
A novel? You're talking about horror novel? I keep asking you for more specifics. Are you talking about a horror novel, sword and sorcery, which I write, or just novel in general?
I would say horror, because I'm not too big in the sword and sorcery area to know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I like
horror
it though.
Novels. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, no. I just wanted to state that I really like sword and sorcery, but my knowledge in that field is very, very scarce. So educate me.
Well, as far as a book, a novel, with horror novels, there are several. That Carmilla novella I like is probably as well as anything in the horror genre. Definitely my favorite gothic horror piece, even over Dracula, and definitely over Frankenstein. But some other books that I would mention, some of Clive Barker's stuff, like Hellbound Heart, which was adapted into the Hellraiser movie or two, and Clive Barker and some of Brian Lumley's Necroscope books, and what else? Back to Barker, The Damnation Game, The Great and Secret Show.
Yeah, I really like the books of blood.
Oh yeah,
and of course Cabal, Nightbreed. That was really, really, really great. And I still like the movie, even if it's a bit cheesy and kind of different to the book. There's great moments in that movie, and the music really rocks.
Definitely.
I think it's how is he called? The guy that always does the music for the Tim Burton movies. I think he made the score for Nightbreed.
Oh yeah, the guy from Oingo Boingo, right?
Or, yeah.
Danny Elfman.
And that is adding to the atmosphere, you know, quite a lot. So okay, we stopped at books. So and you are a writer of sword and sorcery material, and that usually means you're digging Conan.
Yes.
Who not? Conan is just ridiculously cool. Do you know the comics or just the novels?
Well, I came to Howard's writing through the comics and the movie, John Milius's Conan the Barbarian, when it was released. I was already reading Savage Sword of Conan, and then I saw the movie and really got into that. So I went out and bought the Ace, I guess it was Ace that put them out, the paperbacks with the Frank Frazetta covers. And there was really only one Conan novel by Robert E. Howard, and that was Hour of the Dragon. The rest of them were novelettes and novellas that were collected by Lynn Carter and L. Sprague de Camp, and then they wrote some filler material to sort of put them in a chronological order, to put Conan's life in a chronological order.
Yeah, we all still waiting for King Conan, do?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was promising. I first learned of Conan through the comics of John Buscema of Marvel, and I think the depiction of Conan in this comic books is quite great, because he's so brutish, but he's a force of nature. It's almost impossible to kill that dude. And he's just always, okay, you're a 10 feet high wizard, and you get dragons and all, but hey, I got a sword, so I'm gonna kill you. And that was always really great for me to read. And it's quite easy to compare to most storytelling of Japanese manga writers and artists, because this whole proportion in the battles, like I'm just a tiny 14-year-old boy and I'm fighting against the devil, kind of stuff. You get that really often in Japanese culture like that. Never thought about it.
Well, you have that in Norse mythology too, in Teutonic mythology, with those gods going against the giants, like Thor. goes against the Wind Giants or the Ice Giants and that sort of thing.
Yeah, right. Aside from books, what are the most influential bands for you?
You mean for BRITON RITES? Let's start with BRITON RITES. And really, I'm not that much into all these different doom bands. I like what they call doom metal, but to me, it's what Black Sabbath played. I use doom as sort of a label to let people know if you like Pentagram or St. Vitus, then there's a good possibility you will like BRITON RITES. But I'm really not that much into all those bands. The main bands that influenced me as far as BRITON RITES is Black Sabbath, Witchfinder General, and the early Trouble stuff, particularly their, I think it was 1990 album, self-titled album. Those are mainly it. I mean, I like some Pentagram songs and everything, but I'm not a huge fan of this whole doom genre. Now, on the flip side of that, I like some of the epic doom, like early Candlemass with Messiah singing, and I like Solitude Aeturnus, and those were influences more on Cauldron Born with the epic doom style, but more of the traditional, what you would call traditional doom style. I would say Black Sabbath, Witchfinder General, and Trouble.
I really have yet to check out more stuff from Trouble, Witchfinder General and Black Sabbath, of course. I have on the radar and I have in my collection, but I always, and I think you might be offended by that, but I always liked Ronnie James Dio way more than Ozzy as a vocalist because I don't like his voice.
Well, I prefer Dio too. I liked Ozzy. I really like Ozzy more on the first two albums of his solo career than I do with Black Sabbath. But Dio was probably my favorite singer. But I mean, I love all the Black Sabbath singers. Dio, Ian Gillan. I really like Born Again. It's one of my favorite albums. And Tony Martin. I like the Tony Martin era a lot as well.
He's fantastic. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle is one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs, and I really think I'm the only person on this planet to ever say this.
I like that song, and now that you mentioned that, I'm going to dig that CD out when we're done here and take a listen to it. I think it was Cross Purposes, right?
Yeah. That is a fantastic song, and that is a fantastic voice for any rock band. And as you mentioned, Solitude Aeturnus, he's got a new band called Grief Collector. I'm going to review them later this month.
Is that a doom band?
Yes, of course. And you know the vocals of Solitude Aeturnus. Of course, it's really cool. But tell me more about your other band, Cauldron Born.
I formed Cauldron Born in 1994, and I'd made a demo the year before, and we were playing some of that material too. And we recorded the Sword, Sorcery, and Science demo in 94, and I spread that around in 95, and it really caught fire in the underground, and a lot of built a really good fan base. And then we recorded Born of the Cauldron in late 1996, and I released it in 97 with Underground Symphony in Italy. And then we followed that up. There was a demo collection after that called God of Metal, which collected the Sword, Sorcery, and Science demo, and the demo I'd done before that with a couple other musicians. It was called Beyond the Shade Gates. That was under my own name. And then after that, in some years, because I kept switching singers, in 2001 or 2002, I guess it was, we released And Rome Shall Fall. And, a lot of things were hard. It was really hard during the grunge era to keep a metal band going. People didn't want to book you for gigs. One guy had a warehouse that we rehearsed at. He didn't even want us rehearsing in his warehouse because we played heavy metal. We weren't, kissing the ass of the trend that was going on at the time. So it was really hard, and the albums were some years apart with that band, and so I'd stopped playing music for a while. I can get into that in a minute, and just concentrated on writing fiction. But in the last year, with the BRITON RITES album Occulte Fantastique, I sort of restarted my music career, and here we are now.
Yeah. Back in the present day. So you got two bands. You're making music, for a longer while than, most people I interview. Most formed the bands in the 2000 years. So and it's quite funny that the camera picture that is transmitted between the two of us, of you, it's like I'm talking to the past. It really looks. You will see that when the interview goes live. It's, to me, it looks like you are on VHS. I really dig that. That were the first movies I ever saw. So, there's one question that I always ask any band I'm interviewing. That is, if you could dream up a tour, with which bands would you like to tour, no matter whom?
Which bands would I like to tour with? You mean just because I like the band, right? Not because it would put me in a position, a better position, maybe financially or whatever. You mean a band I really like?
The reason why you want to tour them doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, Black Sabbath's disbanded, but probably Black Sabbath. That's my favorite band of all time. But they wouldn't have their best singer. Wouldn't be possible either. So
there are quite a few guys that have a bit of a Dio sound to them, but it's not the real deal, of course. And Ozzy, I don't think that he will tour again. It's he really managed to get old.
Well, he's outlived a lot of them.
Yeah, he's really gray now. I think he stopped to dye his hair. Totally okay if you're pushing 70. You don't have to. I have a question. It just came to my mind to ask you this, and you are the first to ever be asked this, because I think it's funny, and I think if I ask this, I might know what kind of man you are. So I will ask it. What is your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite dinosaur? Oh, Tyrannosaurus Rex, without a doubt.
That's of course one of the most Doom answers possible. Yeah, I think I really like the Triceratops. Always liked it.
Triceratops is pretty metal too.
Yeah, he's got horns and
yeah,
it's like a helmet and horns everywhere.
Well, he's always throwing the horns.
Yeah. You can't do it any other way. It's just horns all the time, 24/7. So one thing I really wanted to touch down with you is sometimes I say things I don't know if they're right or wrong, but it's just sometimes it just happens in my mind. It's foreign languages are tough. Yeah. I got the review here on my second screen, and I always and I have to look up a few things to recollect why I did like an album, because I'm doing 30 to 40 reviews a month, and I still remember I did like this. So I really love how much you can actually hear the bass sound, because that's very much a problem with modern bands. You always got two guitar players, and most bands fuck it up, and you can't make out the bass player. I really like that. This is not the fact with Occulte Fantastique, and before I knew that you are writing sword and sorcery fiction, one thing that really stood out for me was that I really like the lyrics. That is, they are not like, yeah, everything has to rhyme, and the main thing is it has to be catchy and straightforward and everything like that. It's yeah, I can tell without having read one of your books. I can tell that you are a good writer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for writing good lyrics. I'm always digging good lyrics. Yeah, so that were most of the questions I got. One last question, because you are a horror guy and you like horror and fantasy. What do you think is the creepiest movie villain, monster, creature?
The creepiest creature in a film?
Yeah.
That's a hard one. There are a bunch of those. I don't know. Clive Barker came up with a really original and creepy idea with some of those Cenobites. Some of those movies, even some of the later ones, some of the creatures, and of course he didn't. Whoever wrote the script came up with some of those, but based on his characters. So I would say maybe the Cenobites right off the top of my head, without having to think a long time about it.
Which movie?
And which movie? Well, 1, 2, 3. I mean, you could pick any of those.
I like the fat one.
Oh, yeah.
And the one with the chattering teeth. I thought it was really crazy idea. And of course, in the second part, the final form of the Doctor was crazy.
Oh yeah,
that was a really fucked up movie.
It was, for
sure. The creepiest monster for me is, and maybe will be forever, Pennywise. I really hate clowns.
Oh, okay, that explains it.
And I hate clowns because of this. I watched the TV movies, the It movies in 1990. I think I was 9 years old, and that was not very clever of me, because that built a foundation for me hating clowns.
Oh, that's forever. Where it started.
That's where it started. I will hate them forever.
I hated the circus in general as a child. My mother made me go to the circus, and she was going to enforce a good time, and all I could smell was elephant shit and wanted to go home.
Yeah, I think kids are more sensitive to stuff like, make believe in some cases, and it's all a big show, but the animals are scared, and maybe there's a smell that isn't the most pleasant one. So I can imagine that is something that make you scared and want to go home. So that was our interview for today. Thank you very much, Howie. That was a great interview, and I really have to check out your work. Aside from Cauldron Born and BRITON RITES, I have to check out your books.
Yeah, check this out. This is the Snake Man's Bane. This is a collection of my some of my sword and sorcery tales. One of the main characters is a barbarian swordsman named Argantir who transforms into a werewolf. Can you see that cover okay?
That really looks, the poses really look like Frazetta to me.
Well, Lionel Baker, who paints the, this was a Cauldron Born album cover too, by the way, for the EP, Sword and Sorcery Heavy Metal. I also used it for my book cover. This is the Cauldron Born mascot, Thorn, who I've also written stories about, and there are some Thorn stories in this book here.
Great. Yeah, I will check that out. Very cool.
Well, thank you very much for having me on your show.
Yeah, the pleasure was mine.
I'm going to have some Cauldron Born stuff here soon. Maybe we can do it again sometime in the near future.
Of course. I would be delighted to do this again. So just hit me up always if you got new stuff, new books, or something like that. You have my contacts.
I'll be in touch soon. Thank you very much, Dennis.
So, yeah, have a nice day.
You too. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.